Everything in your life might look ordinary, even frustrating. But don't be deceived, because when God is silently preparing you for greatness, the process is anything but loud. The preparation of chosen vessels is often wrapped in confusion, isolation, and unseen warfare. And the first shocking sign is that you feel like you're losing everything and everyone around you. Friends stop calling, relationships break, opportunities disappear, and the very places that once felt like home now feel like foreign ground. And while you're tempted to believe this is punishment or failure, God is actually stripping distractions and attachments that would suffocate the level He's calling you to. Think of Abraham in Genesis 12. Before he could be made a father of nations, he had to leave his country, his people, his comfort. Greatness always begins with separation. You're not being cut off, you're being set apart. And in that hidden place, the second sign begins to surface. Your battles intensify, but they don't make sense. You start experiencing unusual spiritual pressure, emotional heaviness, temptation in areas you thought you'd already conquered, and a level of internal chaos that doesn't align with your external circumstances. It feels random, but it's not. It's resistance from the enemy, who sees what's forming before you do. Just like Jesus was led into the wilderness to be tempted before stepping into public ministry. Matthew 4 verse 1. Your increase in warfare is a signal of your nearing assignment. The greater the anointing, the heavier the opposition, and the enemy doesn't waste ammo on those who pose no threat. So if you feel under attack from every direction, congratulations. You're on the radar of both hell and heaven. The third sign is one people rarely recognize. God starts allowing old wounds, memories, and insecurities to resurface. You think you've healed, you think you've moved on, and then suddenly the past starts knocking, not to destroy you, but to expose what He still wants to refine. Joseph had dreams of ruling, but before the palace, he had to face betrayal, rejection, abandonment, and even prison. All things that could have hardened him, if not surrendered. God will not elevate what is still infected. So He brings those hidden issues to the surface, not to shame you, but to sanctify you. It's the refining fire of Malachi 3 verse 3, where He sits as a refiner and purifier of silver. And if it feels like the heat is rising in your soul, it's because He's not just preparing the gift, He's preparing you. The fourth sign that God is silently preparing you is the death of your own plans. You start realizing that everything you were so sure of, everything you mapped out, worked hard for, or believed would bring fulfillment, suddenly begins to fall apart or feel strangely empty. And it's not that God is cruel, it's that He's sovereign. Proverbs 19 verse 21 reminds you that many are the plans in a man's heart, but it's the Lord's purpose that prevails. So He begins to gently or even abruptly disrupt your blueprint because it doesn't align with your destiny. You lose passion for things that once excited you. You feel a holy discomfort in rooms you used to fit in. That's divine agitation. It's His way of pushing you out of your will and into His. And as painful as it may be, it's also an act of mercy. Because if He let your plans succeed, it would rob you of the greater He intended. Finally, the fifth sign, and perhaps the most painful, is that you feel forgotten. Unseen, invisible. You're doing all the right things. Praying, serving, staying faithful. But no doors are opening, no recognition is coming. And you start wondering if your obedience is even worth it. But make no mistake, silence is not absence. It's strategy. Before David ever held the crown, he was anointed and then sent back to the sheep. Before Esther ever stood before the king, she spent months in preparation that no one applauded. And before Jesus performed a single miracle, He spent 30 years in quiet obedience. Isaiah 49 verse 2 says, He made me into a polished arrow and concealed me in His quiver. Concealed, not because you're being punished, but because you're being preserved. God hides what He values. So if you feel hidden, It's because heaven has something precious in you that still needs guarding. And while others are being elevated in the public eye, your elevation is being secured in private. It's in that place that God fine-tunes your character, tests your integrity, deepens your dependence, and teaches you to worship without a crowd. That hiddenness is sacred. It's not a detour, it's divine alignment. And when the time comes, He will reveal you, not for your glory, but for His. So don't despise the silence, the stripping, the spiritual battles, the loss of your own agenda, or even the ache of invisibility. Each of those signs is a confirmation, not a contradiction, of the greatness God has placed inside you. He doesn't prepare shallow vessels for deep impact. He digs deep. He cuts carefully. He builds slowly. But when He's done, what emerges cannot be shaken. So if you're walking through the fire, through the wilderness, through the crushing, don't pray to escape it. Ask for the strength to endure it. Because if God is preparing you silently, that means what's coming publicly will carry eternal weight. Stay faithful. Stay yielded. Stay hidden until He says now.